Oh, writing equations of linear functions. Good, good. All right. Now, as usual, at any given second, my computer might freeze. So you guys start writing out the 4 forms of a linear function that you know. You know 4 forms. Let's write them out. What's one of them? Point slope. Hold up. Let's get point slope taken care of. Do you remember what it looks like, Sam? That's the next one. Y minus y1 equals... Excellent. And 2 of those particular points, because there's 5 options in there, 2 of them are usually going to be numbers. That's these 2, right? Those are the known point. And what do we have to remember when we're graphing this? Yeah, we got to remember on a graph, the signs are opposite. Oh, there goes my computer freezing. Everybody remembers point slope, yeah? Yeah? Okay. Great. Now, Ethan gave us the next one. Slope-intercept. And that was y equals mx plus b. And in that one, you got to remember that b is the known point. And it's the y-intercept, which means it's 0, y. Yeah? Excellent. And then Tasha gave us the third one and his ugly cousin, general form. And I made a joke earlier today, and I'm going to make it again. General form. Yes, sir. General form. Then I made another joke. Major idiot. And his ugly cousin standard form. I don't know about you guys, but I have an ugly cousin. I do. She's so sad. She's really not pretty at all. But I have these 2 other cousins that are like model gorgeous. So it balances out. I have to wonder if my model gorgeous cousins think of me as their ugly cousin. Or what if the ugly one thinks of me as the ugly cousin? All of my first cousins are girls, yes. But my dad was adopted by his parents. And I was adopted by the man I call my dad. So technically, I really don't know any of my first cousins. Except one, because my mom's brother has a daughter. So I know one of my first cousins. And to be fair, I have not seen her in 12 years. So she may be pretty. I don't know. The last time I saw her, she was okay. I don't know. My dad was adopted by both of his parents. And my mother had me when she was single, and the guy I call my dad adopted me. Oh, okay. So I don't know my father. Okay. I know my dad, but I do not know my father. Okay, gotcha. Whereas my brother and sister, they are full from him. He is their father and their dad. Huh? No, because that would, I don't like that. That implies that he was something less to me. He wasn't. He came on the scene when I was 6 months old. I don't know of any other father. He's my dad. End of discussion. right? It doesn't matter where you come from. All these Ancestry.ca websites going, like, I couldn't care less. I never look backwards. I don't understand how those guys make so much. Well, I do understand how those guys make so much money. Everybody wants to look backwards and find either something awesome or what's wrong with them. Right? Huh? Ancestry.ca, yeah. And that 23andMe where you send them your DNA. If a cop said to you, spit in this, I want your DNA, you'd be mad. But 23andMe says, hey, if you send us your DNA, we'll do a scan for you. Oh, no problem. Here you go.
My cousin did that for his birthday.
Some people dig it. I personally don't. I choose not to look backwards. Now, for me, because I don't know my actual family history, it might be a good idea for me to do one of those DNA scans to find out if there is heart disease or cancer or something in my family, because I don't know. Because I don't know who my dad is. I could ask my mom, but she's weird about it. So I don't, because I don't care. My wife is much more interested than I am, but I couldn't care less. So, because I think what's going to happen is I'm going to find out that my actual father was some stupid, super rich lawyer that my mom was working for in the 70s. And if I knew who he was, I'd be a bazillionaire. I don't want that. I don't need to find that out. Well, no, it wouldn't. Because that would ruin his life and mine. Well, I don't need any of that. I'm happy with who I am. I wouldn't kick me out of bed for eating crackers. All right. Standard form is what? Or general form, either one.
Ax plus or minus ey plus or minus c equals.
Or the ugly version. Now, and this one really doesn't have a known point, does it? This tells us nothing from the equation, right? But I would like, the point of me making you guys write all these out right now is I want you to see something. What do you notice is common to all three of them? X's and Y's. That's the only thing that is in all four forms, right? Y, X, Y, X, X, Y. Yeah, it's totally frozen. I'm just going to keep writing and pretend like it works. There we go. Now, what does this tell us? And this is what's important going forward into our next unit. If you have any set of coordinates, that is an X. That is a Y. Which means that 3 can go into how many different spaces on this page right now? 1, 2, 3, 4. And how many places can that 2 go? Into 4 places. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's always allowed to substitute in there, no matter what. Is everybody with me? If you ever have coordinates, you have an X and a Y. Now, sometimes when we're doing real life stuff, we don't use X and Y, do we? Distance and time. Time and money, right? But all of those things are still an X and a Y. Is everybody cool? And if we are working with X and Y, then regular old algebra must work for it. Yes? No matter what I call it, no matter what we say, point, slope form, slope-intercept form, general form, standard form, this, that, the other, doesn't matter. The skill you need to work with it is the same grade 7 algebra that you were taught by Mrs. Bagcrumble. Is everybody cool? We give it a bunch of different names. We make it do a bunch of different stuff. But the actual thing that you're doing is still just moving variables and numbers around. Everybody good? So no matter how crazy it looks, no matter how many big words we throw in there, at the end of the day, we're just moving stuff around by adding and subtracting it. Cool? All right. So let us see that. So here I want you to write me an equation. Now, when I say write an equation, there's 4 options you could choose, yes? What of those four would be a good one to use for number 1? What? Slope-intercept? I have a slope-intercept and I have a point slope. You want to change to slope-intercept form? What made you change your mind, Nick? Because hopefully you notice that, oh, wait a minute, slope is in both, so that's point slope and slope-intercept. And then you saw, oh, y-intercept. That was what should have changed your mind. But let me ask you this. Could you do point slope form? Because isn't the y-intercept just a point? What is its value? No. No. As a coordinate. 0, 4. So there is an x and a y. So you could use point slope form, couldn't you? Right? Let's do both. The first one is real easy. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. What goes where in there? Y equals 5x plus 4, because 4 goes in for b, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Yeah? If I wanted to do it in point slope form, I've got an x and a y, don't I? So that would be y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Y minus y. What's my y value here? 4. So y minus 4 equals 5x minus 0. Would I ever write that? But if I were to write that, you would know to go to 0 and 4. Correct? Now please notice, if I take this and I get rid of these brackets, I get y minus 4 equals 5x, don't I? And then if I brought that over here, what would I have? I would have slope-intercept form. Is everybody cool? If you have the slope, you can almost always do point slope form or slope-intercept form. 99% of the time. Everybody good? Now, the question is, I want to change my answer into standard or general form. Now, let's look at these for a minute. If I had left my point slope form in full point slope form, and I left my slope-intercept in that one, which of those is easier to work with to change into standard form? Should I use the red one or the blue one? Why is the red one easier? There's no multiplying, there's no brackets or anything, right? It's just moving stuff around. So right now, I've got y equals 5x plus 4. And I want standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. What do I need to do to that guy to make him look like that guy?
Move the 5 and then divide it by -1.
So I could move the 5 and divide by -1. That's 2 steps, right? Why are you dividing by -1, Sam? Because the x can't be a negative. So if x can't be a negative, it's okay right there, isn't it? So do I need to move it? No. You could move it. And a great many of you want to move it, so they're all on the left, don't you? Right? That requires you to do another step. A great many of you do not like writing things down. You try to keep things in your head. How's that working out for you? For some of you, it's working wonderfully. For some of you, it leads to this. Oh, I just made that one little mistake. Right? Which is no big deal until it matters. Yeah? So I would submit that since you need that to be positive, I wouldn't even move him. So 5x, he's happy. I got to get the y over there. So what are we going to do with this y? We're going to move it over. What's going to happen to that y? Negative y. And is that 4 allowed to be with the letters in standard form? So that 4's got to move. What would happen to him? Negative 4. Does everybody understand what I did there? Okay. Now, Sometimes, you guys, if I had moved the y over here, I would have had 5x minus y plus 4, and I left a 0 here. Then I move the 4 back over here, and I get negative 4 equals 5x minus y. Some of you will tell me that that is different than that. Is it? No. Something you need to understand. If you only pay partial attention to this stuff and you see this, oh, it's got to look like that. It doesn't. Because everything equaling C is the exact same as C equaling everything. Everybody understand that? Order doesn't matter. Okay? So then if I want general form, I just got to get everything on one side, right? ax plus by plus c equals 0. And right now I have y equals 5x plus 4. So what's the only thing that needs to move? The y. 5x minus y plus 4. And where could I write the equals 0? Either side. Is everybody good? Yeah? Okay. So read the next question to yourself and decide which form you should use. Which form should we use? Point slope. Why? I got a slope and I got a point. So y minus y. Well, y minus minus 2. What is that? Y plus 2 equals, what's my slope? 2/3 x minus 6. Everyone cool? Was everyone able to do that? If you didn't write it yourself, you just copied mine, that's fine as long as you understand why. Is everybody good with that? Or do I need to go into a little more detail? So the reason it's this is because this is the format, right? Correct? So, and I know that y1 and x1 are the known point, right? Okay, so y minus the known point. So this is technically y minus minus 2, because the known point was negative 2. Everybody good? So it's y minus minus 2, which is technically y plus 2. And then equals my slope, 2/3, because that's right there. And then it's x minus the x known point. X minus, it's technically x minus positive 6, right? And minus positive 6 is minus 6. Is everybody good? Okay, that's why that works. Remember we did a couple of days ago how we had to make them equal 0, and if I put 2 and 6 in, it didn't work. Right? So this is the equation with which we are working. Y plus 2 equals 2/3 x minus 6. Now, I want to do that equation in the other 3 forms. Now, stop for a second. I have written ABC, yes? Which some of you will automatically think I got to do A first, because it's the first one I wrote. It's not the case. I don't care what order you do these in. Because remember, it's not about how you do them. It's about the concept you use to do them. Now, I have a way I would like to start this. I know where I would like to go first. Where would some of you like to go first? Would you go to A, B, or C? You would go to C. So you want to get to this form. Y equals mx plus b. Okay? Well, this is where we're starting, and this is where I'm ending. What do I have to get rid of? I got to get rid of the brackets. Now, a great many of you, to get rid of those brackets, you're going to have to distribute that, aren't you? How many of you are comfortable distributing a fraction? Some of you will be, yeah? And this fraction is very easy to distribute, but sometimes they won't be. So you could go to this one, but then you got to distribute that fraction. And like I say, it happens to work out perfectly this time, but it might not. So let's have a look at doing one of these first. Remember, standard form and general form are pretty much the same thing. What is the only thing I got to do here to make this and this work together? I still got to get rid of the brackets, right? But I also get to get rid of the fraction, don't I? And the problem with my distribution here is that fraction, isn't it? Everyone agree? So if I can get rid of that fraction, then distributing is easy, yeah? So how do I get rid of that fraction? Nick? I do something with 3. What? Brianna?
By 3 and then multiply the other side of the bracket by 3.
If I multiply this side by 3, and soon the computer will show it, what is going to happen to the 3's over here?
They'll cancel out.
They are going to cancel, which gets rid of that fraction for me. Now here's a mistake that you're going to make. Some of you don't recognize that the only thing that disappears here is the 3. I still have the 2 and the brackets. And some of you are going to forget to multiply both sides by 3. So what am I going to have over here now? Plus 6. Everybody cool? Now please notice we are taking stuff from this third unit, right? When we did polynomials. We still need that here. Now, I'm getting close to this, aren't I? What's the only thing that's in the way? Those brackets. But we know how to deal with them. What do? Now what? 12. Now I'm super close to this, aren't I? Right? Now standard form, I got to remember, I want the c by itself, the number by itself. So, what do I know about ax? What are some rules that it has to follow? Got to be positive and not a fraction. Is it positive and not a fraction? So should I touch x? No. So if x is staying there, that means everything's got to get over there except the number, right? So I'm going to bring the 3y over here. What's going to happen to him? It's going to become negative. 2x minus 3y. And what's going to happen to this guy? He's got to come over here away from the variables. And what's going to happen to him? 6 plus 12. And then I finish it off. What's 6 plus 12? 18 equals 2x minus 3y. And that is standard form, yes? Now what do I do to make that general form? What's the only thing that's got to move? Right. Plus or minus 18? Minus. Look at you guys. Good stuff. Now, let's look at this situation. Does that make this conversion easier? I got no multiplying of fractions to do I? And that's what we like. Now, is that always going to be the case? No, sometimes you're going to have to deal with fractions. Sorry. But if you can get rid of them, it's a good idea to try. Right? So now, let's take this guy and move him into this form. So I've got 2x minus 3y minus 18 equals 0. And I need that. What do I have to do? You got to get that y alone and positive, right? So right now, He's not alone, and he's negative. So what should I do? I'm going to move him. So then I'm going to have what? What am I going to have on the left now? Minus 18 is going to equal 3y. Now what? And then I'm going to have what? 2/3 x minus 6. And I'm going to be done. Now, is everybody cool? Now I want you to watch something. This is what we started with, right? From there, what is the known point? What is the point that we know is going to be on this line? Positive 6 and negative 2, right? That positive 6 is what? That's an x. That negative 2 is what? That's a y. What do I have right here? X and y. What would I put in for the x? 6. What's 2 times 6? 12. What would I put in for the y? Negative 2, right? What's negative 3 times negative 2? What's 12 plus 6? 18. See how it works? Same thing going to work over here? 2 times 6 is 12, plus 6 minus 18. Does 12 plus 6 minus 18 equal 0? Okay. X is 6. 2x, 12. Y is negative 2. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6, right? 12 plus 6 is what? Yeah. 18. 18 minus 18 is what? 0. Just like this says it's going to be. And look down here. What's x? 6. So that's going to be 2/3 times 6 over 1 minus 6 has to equal negative 2. What's 2 times 6? 12 over 3 minus 6 equals negative 2. What's 12 over 3? 4 minus 6 equals negative 2. What's 4 minus 6? Negative 2. Does negative 2 equal negative 2? Everywhere I do math, it does. What should you recognize right now? That all 4 of those, if you have any x and y that works on any of those lines, it's going to work in all 4 versions. Okay? All right. So, let's look at number 5. It tells me what form to use, right? What form do I need to use? Y equals mx plus b. I don't have a slope, or do I? How could I find the slope given that? Right. Doesn't m equal y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1? Who decides which is y2? You do. Does it matter which one you decide? As long as you remember what? To keep them together. Whatever one you make y2, his partner is x2. So go. Somebody tell me what the slope here is. 1/3. Everybody cool? Okay. So now I need slope-intercept form, right? Slope-intercept form we know is y equals mx plus b. What can I put in there now? Do I have a y value I can put there? Really? What y value could I put there? I could put 5, or I could put 4. What can I put for m? 1/3. What can I put for m in the green version? 1/3. What can I put for x in the blue version? 1. What can I put for x in the green version? Negative 2. And then I don't know b, do I? In either version. But can I find it? By doing what? Good old-fashioned grade 7 algebra, right? What do I do with 1/3 and 1? Multiply. What's 1/3 times 1? 1/3. So in the blue, I've got 5 equals 1/3 plus b. What am I trying to do? Trying to get b by itself. So what do I need to do to that 1/3? I need to bring it over to the other side, right? Well, you guys are smart kids. What's 5 take away 1/3? 4 2/3. Everybody cool? Which means if I finish off the blue version, y equals 1/3 x plus 4 2/3. What if I wanted to do the green version? Do the numbers change? But does the method change? No. I'm going to have 4 equals, what is 1/3 times negative 2? Negative 2/6. I got 1/3. There he is. This finger is 1/3. Now I got to multiply it by 2. Negative 2/3, right? I want to get b by itself, so what do I do with that 2/3? I move it over, and what does it become? Positive 2/3 equals b. 4 plus 2/3 is again 4 2/3 equals b. So I can finish it off. Now that would be difficult to graph. Why? How could I mitigate that problem, Sam? How could I make that easy to graph? Right. You took a bunch of words to say what Tasha said in 3 words. What was Tasha's 3 words? Change the scale. That's exactly what you said. You just explained how to change the scale. Everybody cool? If you were going to graph it. But we're trying to get away from graphing now, right? We're trying to do more pure math. Josh, you put your hand up. For what reason? Oh, but you're covered? Cool. Everybody good? All right. Now, there's a trick to number 6. What form are you going to use? Why are you choosing y equals mx plus b, Nick? You've got a slope and an intercept, except read that a little closer. It's an x-intercept. So can I use slope-intercept form? I still can, can't I? But I don't know what b is, do I? But I do know something about x-intercepts. What are they? Other way around. x0. And I have an x value, don't I? So what is this guy really? Do 0. So now I have an x and a y and a slope. So can I use slope-intercept form? Because it's got y and x and a slope, doesn't it? Could I use point-slope form? Yeah, because it's got slope and an x and a y. Could I use general form here? Could I? General form has a, x, b, y, c. There's 5 things that I need to fill in. I only have an x and y. So could I use general right now? No. But I can use either of the other 2, right? If I do slope-intercept, what can I fill in there right now? Y is what? 0. What's m? 5/3. What's x? 2 plus b. How do I multiply that? What's 2 really over? 1. So what's this answer? 10/3 plus b, yes? I need b by itself, so what has to happen to that 10/3? Goes over there and becomes what? Negative 10/3 equals b. So now, do I have an m? Yep, 5/3. Do I have a b? Negative 10/3. Can I write this out? What would it be?
Y equals 5/3x plus 10/3.
B is negative 10/3. So negative 10/3. Everybody cool? Is everybody good? Now what if I wanted to use point slope form? Could I do that? What would go in for y1? So y minus 0 is what? Y minus 0 is 0. Y equals what's m? And x minus 2, right? Agreed? So is that okay to leave that way? It's point slope form, isn't it? So could I leave it that way? But aren't they exactly the same thing? Because if I distribute that in there, aren't I going to get 10/3? And I have the same answer. Everybody cool? It's just algebra. We give it 20 million names, but it's just do something to one side, do it to the other, get the letters by themselves, no matter what we call it. Everybody good? Okay. Turn the page over to 222. What's that? Coordinate. So that's a point, right? So if I have a point, I know I can use any of the three. I can use general, slope-intercept, or point slope form if I have any point, because the points are x's and y's, yes? Now, yeah, I could use standard. I just don't bother counting standard. Now, which one? Let's go a little further with this. I have a point. Now, which one am I going to use? Well, I'm not given a slope, or am I? What does parallel mean? That means something. Same slope. So if it's parallel to this line, it must have the same slope as this line, right? But do I know that line's slope?
Yeah.
Right now?
Not necessarily.
How can I find it?
Move the y divided by -1.
How do I get that slope? Well, I take the general form, or standard form, and I put it into what? Y equals mx plus b. Now, do I care about the 7? Why not? It's useless because I only need the slope, right? So I don't even need to care about the 7. 4y equals negative 2x, right? Because I bring that over here. Now what? The slope is 2 over 1? Negative 2 over 1? You got to divide by y. So it's negative 1/2 x. So that's the slope I need. So now, do I have a slope?
Yeah.
And I have a point. So what form am I going to use? Point slope form. What would it be? Y minus 1 equals negative 1/2 x. X minus minus 3, which would be x plus 3. Everybody cool? Okay. Now, you guys now have all the tools you need to do number 8. Except there's one little problem with the hint. What's the word that's changed? Which means I don't use the same slope. What do? I use the opposite reciprocal slope. I don't like to say negative reciprocal because if it already starts negative, you guys think that it stays negative. So I like to use the word opposite reciprocal. So, does anything change in number 8?
Not really.
Not really. I do all the same steps, but I got to remember one concept. So go while I have a sip of my coffee.
Is that a French press?
Oui. See what I did there?
Still better than Vanty's jokes.
Major idiot. Yes, sir, General Form. If you've seen Spaceballs, that joke is extra funny for you. If you haven't seen the movie Spaceballs, you're missing out. It's a spectacular piece of cinematic achievement. Is there anybody in here that has not seen Spaceballs? Is there anybody in here that has seen Spaceballs? One person? You're the only person that's getting any of these jokes?
Something like 5 times.
How many a-holes we got on this ship? See? It makes me laugh every time. Ah. Comb the desert. See? Your Schwartz is as big as mine. See? They're jamming our radar. Okay, stop. No, I bet he's seen it.
I have.
My kid has seen it. My kid actually taught me something about that, Ethan, because I always wondered how he was able to make Spaceballs and not get in trouble. Because it's,
True.
right?
It's weird, yeah.
George Lucas gave him permission, but he wasn't allowed to make any licensing off it. That's why there's no, like, barf action figures, and there was never a cartoon, and he said, yeah, go ahead, but you have to stop at that movie. That's why there's never been a sequel. That's why
It's fun.
it is so funny.
Spaceballs is related to Star Wars?
Yeah, kind of. It's a joke, Star Wars.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
like a version of that stuff.
All right, so let's go here. How do I find this slope? Do I care about the 5? Nope. I just got to move that x over. So 8y equals negative 1x, technically, right? And then what do I do with the 8? Divide by 8. So negative 1/8 is the slope that I have. But what slope do I want? I got to perpendicular that. So what do I got to do to it? Flip it and change the sign. So the slope I want is actually positive 8. Is everyone cool? Where? Were you able to find negative 1/8? No? Okay. Are you aware that x plus 8y, I move the 1 over, and I divide by 8 to get that slope? All I'm doing is I'm taking this, and I'm putting it in slope-intercept form so I can find this guy's slope. Are you cool? We don't need the 5 because we only care about the slope. Okay? So you're able to find the slope of this line, right? And then, because it's perpendicular, we got to flip it and change the sign. Now, we have the slope and a point, right? So let's give it an equation. What would it be? Y yeah, we're doing point slope because we've got a slope and a point, right? So it's y, no, y plus 2 because it's minus minus 2 equals 8 plus 3 minus 3. And now that one's done. Is everybody cool? It's easy peasy, right? Now, do you have to memorize point slope form? Do you have to memorize slope intercept form? Do you have to memorize general form? No, because you get them on your data booklet that I will give you for your final. There they are right there. But you do have to know what each letter means. Every y and every x is just what? X and y, points on the graph. Every m is what? Slope, which is m equals rise over run equals change in y over change in x equals y2. It's all there for you. Yes, Nick? I'll write it on the board for you.
How did you get 2 plus 2 on the last question?
I will get to that right now.
If you need to stop for the mistake to be on the test.
No, none of this will be on tomorrow's test. The concepts will be. I might ask you to graph something and just give you an equation, and then you would graph it however you see fit. You'd be allowed to use a table of values, or you could do this. That's why I like doing this now, because it makes the test I'm giving you tomorrow, it could make it easier. Everybody cool? Oh, which reminds me, I printed your test for tomorrow, and I printed 60 copies because I got 2 classes, and it flipped the second pages. So the first page is right side up, and then when you turn it over, the page 2 is upside down. And I'm not going to print, it's a 6-page test. So I just used 360 pages of paper. I'm not going to reprint it. So tomorrow you're going to do page 1, turn the page, turn it over. Do page 2, turn the page, turn it over. Okay, you picking up what I'm putting down? I apologize. I'm sorry. I don't even know how I did it. I have no idea what I did. I pushed Control P, 60 copies, print. I don't know what happened. I pushed Control P, 60 copies, print. I don't know what happened. What happened? All right, everybody cool? Okay, now this is where you guys, everybody says they get it, and then I ask you to work the other way, and all of a sudden everybody forgets everything to do with graphing. So, I got 5 lines there. We're going to start with line A, right here. What form should I use for line A? Point slope? Why did you choose point slope? Because you don't have a nice x or a y intercept, do you? So, to do point slope form, I must need to know the slope here, yes? How do I find a slope on a graph? I rise over run, so I find any point. Like, oh, say that one, and maybe that one. Up 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what's that slope? 1 over 4. Do I have a point? So I can do that. Y minus 3 equals 1/4 x plus 2. Is everybody with me? Now, what if I had chosen this point here? It doesn't matter, does it? If I use this point out here, then it would just be y minus 5 equals 1/4 x minus 6. Is everybody with me? And could I use any x and y along there? Could I use this one right here? Could I? Could I? Sure. Good. All right, let's do B. What form should we use for B? Same form again, right? So who chooses the points to use? You do. You want a point that does what? That hits perfectly, right? Are those 2 points okay? Does it give me the slope? Minus 3 plus 2, right? So y, if I'm using that point, it's minus 1, right? So it's y minus minus 1. What would that be? Y plus 1. My slope is negative 3/2. And my x, that x is minus 4. So it's x minus minus 4, which would be x plus 4. Now you guys do it with this point. What would that one be? No. Just do the same equation for the same line B, but use this point down here. What would it be? It's still got a slope of negative 3/2, but the x and the y's have changed, yes? What would this y be? So negative 4, which would be plus 4, and negative 2, which would be plus 2. Is everybody good? All right. Now C and D, you talked about to death in grade 9, but for some reason you guys still can't do it. What is C? It's got an undefined slope. So can I use slope-intercept form? No. Can I use point-slope form? No. So I have to use general form, don't I? Okay. So general form has x, y, and c, right? All right. So let's look at some of these points. What's that point right there? That's 5, 2, correct? What's that point right there? That's 5, 0, correct? What's that point right there? 5, negative 2, right? What do you notice?
They're all 5s.
So, x has to equal what? 5. No matter what. Because it doesn't matter what y is, x has to be 5. So let's look at D. What does that mean for D? Y has to equal 9. Why? Because it's a horizontal line. Y can't change. Doesn't matter what x is. What if x is 20 billion? What's y? 9. Okay? Now, you guys, what's E? What form are you going to use? You could use A, couldn't you? But could you use slope-intercept? Why? Because I've already told Jashin, he's right. He could use point-slope form because he's got a whole bunch of points and a slope. You're saying I can do you one better. I'm going to use slope-intercept. Why? Because it's got a perfect intercept, doesn't it? What is it? Negative 6. And the slope is up 1 over how far?
Up 2 over 7.
I think it's up 2 and over 7, yeah. So y equals 2/7 x minus 6. Is everybody good with working with the three forms? Everyone cool? Okay, now, like always, we have to mess around with this now, yes? It's like in Lego. The first thing you learn in Lego is to build a tower of 4x2 blocks, right? You just keep stacking them on top of each other, the 8 block. And you stack it as high as you can, and then it tips over. You're like, yay! And then eventually you build a skyscraper, right? You built the car first? Nice. So, take what you know and apply it here. This is the formula I have. It is in general form, isn't it? Great. Which means it's got x, a y, and a blank. Yeah? What do I have here? An x. Do I have a y? Yeah, you do. What's the y value for an x-intercept? 0. So this is 3, 0, isn't it? Which means that's an x and that's a y. What do you see right there? X. What do you see right there? And we need to find k, don't we? So what happens if I move that k over there? What do I get? 3x plus 2y equals k. Aren't I trying to find k? Well, x is 3, so what do I write there? 3 times 3, Y is 0. What happens to that? It drops out. Plus 0 equals k. What's 3 times 3? 9 equals k.
That's easy.
Damn right. Do the rest of that page. What's this? Remember, we know that 3x plus 2y has to equal k. What is that point right there? What's the x and the y for that? -2 and 0. What goes in for the x? 3 times -2. What happens to the y?
Plus 2. Bye-bye.
What's 2 times 0, Ethan? So it disappears. Equals k. What's 3 times -2? -6 equals k. Everybody good? Okay, what's different about C? It's a y-intercept. So what happens to our coordinates? It's 0, -3. But is that still an x? Is that still a y? So what's going to happen to that x when I put in 0 for it? It's going to drop out. So 2 times -3 equals k. What's 2 times -3? -6 equals k. Hey, same thing. What's different in D? I got 7, so what's the coordinates? 0, 7. What's going to happen to the x? Drops out, so I got 2 times 7 equals k. What's 2 times 7? 14 equals k. Now, what's different about E and F? I got both coordinates, so nothing's dropping out, is it? So I got 3 times what? 2 plus 2 times what? -1 equals what? Equals what? K. Solve it. What's 3 times 2? 6. What's 2 times -1? -2 equals k. What's 6 minus 2? It's just subtraction. And what's this one? 3 times -4 plus 2 times 3 equals k. 3 times -4 is -12 plus 6 equals k. What's -12 plus 6? And I'm done. Why did I do this to you? To show you how much you can do if you simply know any point on the graph. Because that at any point on the graph takes care of 2 variables in all the math you're doing, right? Because it gives you the x and the y. Everybody cool? Okay, now that was a bit long, so here's what's going to happen. You guys will notice that the next page in your book should say unit assignment, right? I'm not going to give you a test exclusively on algebra because you've done it to death, but I do want to make sure you can do it, okay? So this assignment is due Thursday because tomorrow you're writing your test, yeah? Finish your test tomorrow and then finish this assignment. Now, we got 15 minutes left in class. That's more than enough time to get a good start on this if you want. Listen to me closely. Tomorrow's test is not long. No, because it's all graphing, but it's time consuming. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you got to, count the dots, like all that crap, right? So be aware that you will probably need most of tomorrow's block for the test. So if you don't want to have this for homework to be done Thursday, get some of it done now. If, however, you're a little worried about your test tomorrow, even after today, which I don't think many of you will be, but if there are some of you, use the time that I am here right now to ask about stuff from that. Is everybody good? Yeah? Okay. Everybody understands what's expected of you over the next 2 days? Okay, I want to mark this Thursday at the beginning of class. Okay? Everybody good? Hey, Mr. Adonai.
Here, here.